Ever seen a grown woman in a $300 designer pantsuit completely lose it, screaming and banging on a locked gate like a caged animal? Mascara streaming while the cops snap cuffs on her wrists. That was Delilah Thornfield, the HOA president, at the exact moment her $500,000 scam blew up in her face. She tried to sell my private lake, my family's 70-year legacy, behind my back. The morning mist off the water smelled like justice that day, I swear. Picture this. There's Delilah, pounding those iron bars, yelling at officers who weren't buying her act. She thought she could bully a diesel mechanic out of what my Polish granddad built with his own hands. Dead wrong. While she was forging documents and cozying up to developers, I was quietly setting a trap. The moment she brought her buyers for a final walkthrough, gate locked. 911 called. Justice served ice cold. Crazy, right? 3 months ago, my biggest concern was whether the base were biting and if my wife's coffee would stay warm on the dock. My name's Marcus Tank Kowalski. I fix diesel engines. 42 grease-stained hands, proud as hell of it. Every morning I wake up in the same house I grew up in, looking at what I think is the prettiest spot in Pennsylvania. A crystal-clear lake my grandfather dug by hand back in '54. 47 acres of perfect water ringed with pine trees. Loons calling at dawn. You step out and smell pine needles and that sweetwater sea bass swimming 20 feet down. That dock's worn smooth from decades of family feet. This isn't property, it's soul. My granddad Stanislaw came from communist Poland with nothing but calluses and hope. Bought swampy land for $800, nobody wanted it, then spent 3 years digging, rock hauling, shoveling. Friends helped other Polish immigrants, all chasing the American dream. Every summer it's family barbecues, swimming lessons, silent Sunday mornings to hear yourself think. My wife Sarah and I raised 3 kids here. Emma's 16, Jake's 12, Sophie's 8. Saturdays mean pancakes on the dock and fishing lessons like my granddad did for me. That's happiness. Then Delilah showed up. 3 years ago, white Lexus, blessed bumper stickers, designer sunglasses, and attitude bigger than her mortgage. Ex-real estate agent, self-declared neighborhood improvement crusader. Within 6 months, HOA president promising modern standards. Red flag, she started carrying an HOA handbook like a Bible. Redder flag, surprise property inspections, clipboard in hand, fake smile stuck on. Marcus, I'm just so worried. Your rustic look might hurt community values. She'd stare at my truck like it was a disease. But the lake, she circled it like a shark, always asking, who maintains the water? Are there safety barriers? Has anyone checked the environmental impact? When she started concerned citizens' meetings about underused resources, I should have known trouble was brewing. The breaking point hit on a September Tuesday. Sarah was making coffee, kids were fighting, I was heading to my shop when a letter arrived from the HOA. Inside, a bill for $500 a month, lake maintenance fees for our lake. Said the lake was within HOA boundaries and needed oversight and assessment. If we didn't pay in 30 days, they'd put a lien on our land. I shook with anger, staring at the lake where my granddad's spirit lived. They want to charge us to own our own lake, I told Sarah. That's when I realized Delilah had picked a fight with the wrong family. I marched straight to the HOA office, fake wood paneling, motivational posters, the works armed with the original deed, survey map, 70 years of proof. Delilah sat at her desk, nails perfect, laptop ready, smiling that I'm about to screw you smile. Marcus, wonderful to see you. Hear about the lake fee. I dropped the documents. My granddad's deed, survey maps. This lake predates your HOA by decades. She barely glanced at them. Oh, sweetie, old documents don't supersede modern standards. The lake is within our boundaries. I couldn't believe it. You can't just redraw property lines. She leaned in. Perhaps you should leave this to people who understand property law. She thought I was some dumb mechanic. What she didn't know, I'd spent 3 years in law school before my granddad's stroke changed everything. I let her underestimate me, smiled, and asked to see these new boundaries. Once our surveyor's done, they'll be public. First I'd heard of any surveyor. Next morning I set up trail cams all around the lake. 3 days later, jackpot. Footage Delilah and some suit measuring and plotting. Ran his face through a search. Rex Grimshaw, local developer, known for turning wild land into condos. Watching them, I realized they weren't surveying boundaries. They were plotting a heist. Grimshaw gestured at the lake, said $50 million project, my granddad's sanctuary being carved up for profit. That night I cracked open my law books. Adverse possession homestead protections grandfathered use. My granddad's 1954 lake beat any modern HOA nonsense. Digging into Grimshaw's past, I saw a pattern identify valuable land create legal chaos, force settlements, swoop in with deals. Friday, I called the county, no official survey requests in 5 years. Delilah's boundary assessment was pure fiction. Saturday, fresh tire tracks near my boat launch. Not local tires. Cameras caught Delilah Grimshaw and a photographer snapping every inch of the lake. That night, my kitchen table was covered in photos, timelines, legal notes. This was organized theft disguised as improvement. They had no idea I understood both engines and legal loopholes. 2 weeks later, Delilah escalated. I was elbow deep in a Peterbilt when Eddie, my neighbor and friend, ran in. "Tank, you got to see this. Health inspector just posted it on your gate. Cease and desist, environmental health violation, recreational activities banned, complaint mosquito breeding contamination." Fury and blood-scraped knuckles mixed as I read. Delilah had gone nuclear. Inspector Williams showed up, clipboard in hand, Delilah right behind. "Mr. Kowalski, need to check your water feature." "Sir, this is private property. The lake's been here since 1954. Delilah did her fake concern routine. What Williams didn't know: filing false environmental reports is a felony in Pennsylvania. I called the real estate DEP. Janet Morrison, investigator, was sharp. She saw right through Delilah's act. 3 days later, Janet called grinning. "Your lake's the reason your neighbors have clean wells. Whoever filed this complaint doesn't understand science or doesn't care." Even better, Delilah had filed her complaint the same day as that Grimshaw meeting. Deeper digging showed Grimshaw donated $10K to the county commissioner's campaign, who assigned Williams to my case. Corruption clear as daylight. Corruption clear. That week I built my counterattack. Complaints filed, timelines, cross-referenced, every dirty trick documented. But Delilah wasn't done. Flyers appeared in every mailbox. "Stop the liar," with an ugly photo of me. The kids got teased at school. Sarah, already stressed from last year's cancer treatment, was anxious. But I looked at that doc and remembered you can't surrender what's sacred. "Sarah, our kids deserve courage, not fear." She squeezed my hand. She understood. Trail cams gave me a gift footage of Delilah meeting with Inspector Williams in a strip mall parking lot. Time to go on offense. 3 weeks into October, Eddie burst into my shop. "Tank, emergency zoning hearing. Delilah's trying to get your lake declared a public safety hazard." I dropped my wrench and ran to the township building. The lot was overflowing. Delilah stood at the podium waving a professional engineering report paid for by Grimshaw, claiming my lake was a flood risk. Board chair raised an eyebrow. "What's changed in 70 years? Delilah rambled about climate change and catastrophic overflow. I stood up. "I'd like to present counter-evidence. My expert, Dr. Novak from Penn State, proved the lake prevented flooding. Even better, she'd found Delilah had already signed preliminary deals with Grimshaw pending resolution of water rights. She'd been planning this heist from the start." I revealed Delilah's financial conflict. The crowd turned. I wasn't done. My friend Rodriguez, an attorney, had found a fatal flaw in the HOA bylaws. Board members needed 5 years continuous residency. Delilah had only 18 months. Every fee, every violation, every contract void. The board recessed, stunned. During the break, Mrs. Henderson, a neighbor, handed me 2 years of meeting notes showing Delilah's manipulation, rigged votes, emergency powers for developer pals. When the board returned, the vote was swift drainage request, denied criminal investigation launched. Delilah stormed out in a cloud of perfume and lies. That night, Sarah and I sat on the dock, moonlight shimmering, the war not over. "Think she'll surrender?" she asked. "Honey-cornered predators fight the hardest. She's got too much to lose." The final act began when Rodriguez uncovered Delilah's financial mess: $847,000 in loans, $200,000 owed to her ex-real estate license suspended. She was desperate, selling what she didn't own, signing worthless contracts. Grimshaw, realizing the scam, started cutting her out. Even scarier, they'd targeted 3 more families, Henderson's, Patel's, another Kowalski branch, for forced buyouts. It was bigger than us. Sarah, worried, asked, "Should we just take the money and leave?" I shook my head. "If we run, they'll destroy the others." We planned to end it, Eddie Rodriguez and I set up a legal and physical trap. Eddie rigged the gate cameras everywhere. Rodriguez lined up the legal firepower. Janet Morrison from the EPA was ready. Local and federal law enforcement were briefed. 6 days later, Delilah tried her final play, arrived with county van and a black Escalade. The gate malfunctioned, they let themselves in, not knowing they were on camera. Grimshaw's crew arrived with survey gear and horrifyingly marked our family memorial stones for removal. At noon, Delilah called a judge caught on tape offering payment for helping with permits. Federal felony bribery. That's when I sprung the trap, locked the gate, announced on PA everyone was under citizen's arrest for conspiracy, fraud, trespassing, bribery. Chaos. Grimshaw tried to bail, but his muscle couldn't break the lock. Cops, EPA, state police, FBI rolled in. Delilah and Grimshaw were arrested, charges from fraud to environmental crimes to bribery. Rodriguez and a reporter documented everything. Families cheered. Sarah hugged me on the dock, tears of relief in her eyes. It's over, I told her, and for the first time in months it felt true. Justice was sweet. Delilah got prison. Grimshaw lost everything. The corrupt commissioner resigned, and the judge faced federal charges. But the real victory... We used the restitution to start a scholarship for environmental protection. The lake was declared a heritage site, permanently protected. I teach workshops now on homeowners' rights. Rodriguez helps families fight back. Sarah's health rebounded, the kids walk proud again. Every Sunday we gather 3 generations on that dock, fishing, eating Polish food, honoring Granddad's dream. Here's what I learned. Sometimes, peace isn't about running, it's about standing your ground. Legacy isn't money, it's courage. My daughter's at Penn State studying environmental law. Jake wants to be a mechanic who knows the law. Sophie just wants to keep the lake beautiful. Every ripple reminds me America works when good people don't back down. So what's your take? Was Delilah's punishment enough? Where's the line between justice and revenge? Drop your story or opinion below. I read every one, and if you fought your own HOA nightmare, you're not alone. Hit subscribe for more real stories, because as long as there are bullies, there'll be folks like us ready to fight back. And out on the lake, the loons are calling. That sound, that's freedom.